when you, for example, when the question asks you what's the maximum height or the maximum profit or whatever, I don't want you to just tell me, like a lot of students know, okay, yeah, that's definitely the vertex. And then they just leave it like that, okay? I need you to tell me, it doesn't have to be a long sentence, I need you to tell me which one of these two numbers actually answers it. And I'm pretty sure I said it on the video. I'm just making sure you understand that, right? Any point you find ever, you need to tell me which one of those two numbers actually answers the question. So just giving me the point is not good enough because there's now a context around it, right? And so also make sure you have the units that go with it. So what goes on the x-axis, what goes on the y-axis, right? So remember that the units are important as well. Okay. All right, let's go and get ready for the next part, 43. We're going to go to page 43 here for the regressions component. Okay. So quadratic regressions. So far you were given the equation and you entered it into the calculator, you use second trace to extract information, right? In this lesson you'll learn to determine, right? You'll learn to determine the quadratic equation, which will best model the scenario. You're finding the curve of best fit. You may have done some of this in grade 9 where you found the line of best fit. We will find the curve of best fit. And here it is, the word of the day, quadratic regression, allows you to determine the quadratic equation and needs at least 3 points. You need to input at least 3 points for quadratic regression to work. Remember that you can use the symmetry of the parabola to determine a third point if necessary. To access quadreg, we press stat calc, then quadratic regression. We're going to do this in a bit. Just follow me for a few moments here. It requires the following inputs. So you would go quadreg. You need to give it the location of where the x values are located. And I'm highlighting the commas because some students forget about the commas. Right? The location of where the y values are located, comma, right? And then a place to store the resulting equation. We will most likely put everything into y1, although you could be putting it into y2, y3, whatever you want. And here it is again. Note that the entries, a lot of students miss this. Entries are separated by commas. There are 2 commas there, right? Steps to perform a regression. And before we do that, let's just take a break here and let's actually explore this. So turn on your calculator. Let's go find quadratic regression. Okay, so we're going to press stat and then we go to calculate. So stat calculate, so just use your arrows to go to calculate, and then there's quadratic regression right there. Next year, you're gonna, or in grade 12, you're gonna use cubic reg, right? So quadreg, cubic reg. You're gonna use some other ones as well, but this year, all you're gonna use is quadreg. So you hit enter, And this is where it's going to ask you for 3 inputs. It's not mandatory to enter the 3 things, but we will do that because it allows us to copy paste into Y1. Here's the next step, guys. You're going to have to, I'm going to have to zoom out all the way for this to work. You're going to press second one, you should see L1. Yeah. Okay, okay. Yours looks different when you go stat. Yeah. Let me address that right now, actually. Thank you for bringing that up. Some calculators are newer, and so they haven't been changed. Let's go. Let everybody go to mode. Press mode, and we're gonna go to you know where it says stats diagnostics? Make sure that is off. And also, I'm going to zoom into that so you can see it. And also stat wizard, make sure the wizard is off as well. What the wizard does is it's basically like a prompt. It just asks you to enter it all in the prompt, but I prefer just having both of these turned off, okay? You got it? Off, off, right? You go to mode and turn both of those off. Let's do this again. So second mode for quitting. Let's do this all over again. Stat, go sideways, oops, and then quadratic regression. So either press number 5 or just scroll down to 5, hit enter. How are we doing now, Francesca? Still not? Still not? I'll help you. I don't want you to suffer with calculator issues, so call me, all right? Second 1, comma, second 2, and you're like, what in the world is that? I will show you that in a bit. I will show you that L1 and L2 are actually spreadsheets. They're like columns. That's where we're going to put in values. And this is the last one. Ready? You go comma. Somebody showed me a shortcut last year. Alpha. Let me do this first. Alpha trace. Yeah. Alpha trace brings up all the y's. Like all these y's are on your calculator where you can like put an equation into. So you choose which one you want. I usually pick y1. So this is what I mean. Like when you enter it like this, these are going to be all the x values of those 3 points. It could be more than 3, but most of the time it'll be 3. These will be all the y values of the points. And this is where we're going to paste the equation into. All right, guys? So this is what it should look like when you're done. Let's hit enter. Let's see what happens. It might complain. Sure. So I'm going to delete the y1. So you go alpha trace. Alpha trace brings up all the y's. And then hit enter. And let's all hit enter at this point. It might complain. I don't care. Mine actually came up with an equation of some sort. Yours will be looking different. That's fine. Don't panic right now because your x and y values are different. Okay. Are we good with the calculator? Okay. So let's. You might think, oh my goodness, like when you see this is steps to perform a regression. When is this going to be helpful? Probably in January when you're preparing for the exam. You're like, how in the world did I do this again? Then you might want to refer to these steps. But the first step that you will perform when doing a regression is make sure you turn on plot 1. That is important. And I will show you, I will tell you why in a bit. Let's go to y equals. Clear whatever is in any of the equations, just clear everything. Turn on plot 1. The reason why plot 1 is good to have is 2 reasons. It will show you the points on your screen. It will actually show you where they are. And second, you can use zoom stat. Zoom stat is another zoom that actually will zoom into the points you've entered. Zoom stat does not work unless plot 1 is turned on. That's why. So there's two reasons why you want plot 1 turned on. Okay? Mr. Dixon, what if I just enter an equation that you give me, like we just did on Monday? Should I have plot 1 turned on? The answer is no. You don't turn it on. If you enter anything manually into Y1, turn plot 1 off, because sometimes there's a conflict. I don't know what it is, but sometimes it'll say I can't graph it. So plot 1 is only to be turned on when you're doing a regression, when you're doing what we're about to do here. Okay? Okay, so we're going to turn on plot 1. We're going to press that edit, then enter the X values into L1, Y values into L2. We'll make sure we do that in a bit. And this is how you actually perform the regression. These are all the buttons you enter to perform the regression. This is the long way, by the way. Like the alpha trace step is going to replace this last piece here. I would say don't worry about this too much. Just follow me and you should be fine. Okay? So let's try one here together. Determine the quadratic equation that best fits the points down here. So you have 3 points, check, right? And let's do this. Let's enter. I want you to show me this. You tell me that the X values will go into L1. The Y values will go into L2. Let's go ahead and do that. So you go stat edit. So we go press stat edit. So that's the first option there. And you'll see a bunch of points in there. What I want you to do is I want you to go to the very top arrow all the way up to the heading, L2 for example. You press clear and then you hit enter. And it deletes everything that's in that column. Then you go to L1 all the way to the top. Press clear. Actually, press delete. Press delete on L1. Oh no, L1 is gone. What do I do now? You go stat and you go setup editor. That last option there, hit enter and then enter one more time. It will restore the L1 you just deleted. Watch, you press stat, edit again. That's where you go to your Excel spreadsheet basically, and L1 is back. Okay, so if you ever press delete, it's going to get rid of that column. So you don't want that. Go to L1 to the very top, hit clear, enter, and it clears everything that's in those cells. I would strongly recommend you do that. Does everybody have an L1 and L2? I mean, if you press setup editor, it restores all of them. That's why I make you do it, right? It restores. If somebody deleted L2 for whatever reason before you, it should all be back, okay? So let's enter these values, and you have to be careful with negatives, right? You go -4, you press the negative button, then hit enter. -1, hit enter. 2, enter. So these are my X values. I put them in L1. Let's go over to the side and start with L2. -5, enter. 2, enter. 1, enter. So you've actually now performed the second step here, right? Stat edit, you enter X values into L1, Y values into L2. Now we're going to do the regression. And this is what all I'm asking you to do. You tell me that you press stat, quad reg. That's all. And then you're going to come up with the equation now. Watch how this works. You go stat. So it's all about stat, right? Stat edit, that's where you enter your points. Stat calculate. And then you go to quad reg to call that function. You're calling that function now. And you got to feed it things. So we're going to go second 1 to say, hey, the X values are located in L1. Press the comma button. Then you go second 2 to call up L2. Okay, you're telling quadreg, this is where they are. And the last one is comma. You remember this already? Alpha trace. Alpha trace brings up, this is so much easier than the other way. I used to do it a long way, and a student's like, did you know that you can just press alpha trace? I'm like, thank you. So that's where you do the Y1. And now you're ready to execute. So hit enter. Do you all get that? Everybody? All right, you're doing good. You're a smart bunch, that's why. So this is what I want you to do. You grab your pencil and you enter to 2 or 3 decimals. I will do 2 decimals most of the time. So it gives you the A, the B, and the C value, and it's always going to be in general form. That's the only thing quadreg can do. It cannot give us the vertex form. So you just A, right? This is the A value, so that's where that goes. B is 0.11, so that's plus 0.11x. And then the C value, which is our y-intercept, is 2.56. We're going to round it to 2 decimals, 2.56. Okay, and this is the quadratic equation that will work for us. Can I just make a note here? This is the long way of doing it. Second 1, second, comma, second 2. That's for L2, comma. I want to get rid of this part. This is the long way of doing it. Just go alpha, trace, and then Y1. Sorry, can't see that. Just go alpha, trace, Y1. It's so much easier. It saves you a ton of typing. And there you go. Now, this equation, guys, this equation, I do not want you to enter it manually ever. Let's go to y equals and see what happened. Look at y equals. Y1 is now filled in with that equation that you just found. I want you to use this one to answer all questions I have later on, not manually typing this one in. This is just what you state for your answer, but this is what I want you to use for your questions. Let's graph this. Hit graph. Let's see if it works. Actually, it works pretty nicely in this case. It works very well. No changes needed. Wait a minute, you did homework, right? So most likely yours will not look like this. So let me introduce you to Zoom Stat. If you did your homework, of course, right? This will zoom into points in L1 and L2. But plot 1 must be on. This, if you don't have plot 1 turned on, this will not work. Okay. So let's go zoom, and zoom stat is that 9th option way at the bottom of zoom. When you press zoom, it's there. So let's press 9, and there it actually tries to fit all the points that you've entered into the screen, right? So you might have to make some changes afterwards. You might have to make some changes to your window, just like before, to make sure you see all the intercepts and the vertex, all right? So zoom stat is your friend. Only works with regressions, only works if plot 1 is turned on, okay? Let's go y equals one more time. Turn off plot 1. I just want you to see the difference. Turn off plot 1, so you just go and hit enter so that it's not highlighted, and then hit graph one more time. the points are now gone, right? You don't see those dots on there or the squares. So you know, hey, plot 1 isn't on right now. In fact, if you tried zoom stat, let's say you just enter this zoom stat, it wouldn't do a thing. Like it wouldn't even know what to do because plot 1 isn't turned on. It goes and looks what's in plot 1. So I'm going to turn it back on because today, quite frankly, you're going to want it on for all of our questions here. And now, guys, you can find everything again. You can find the vertex, the intercepts, all of that, just like that, okay? So in fact, I'm going to ask you to do that right now. I'm going to give you some time to answer, like now that we have this equation, answer B, C, D, and E. It's kind of a bit of a review of what we've been doing. See if you're able to do that, and then we're going to continue with more regressions. I'll throw some different scenarios at you. All right. So go ahead, do a few tricks of the trade. Okay. So if you ever make a mistake, like let's say it's like, oh, my equation isn't the same as yours, Mr. Dirksen. I would like you just quickly go and check. Let's say you got one sign wrong. It's going to be different. What you can do is you can change that number right here, quit that screen, go and copy paste the entry that you did before and run it again. That way you don't have to retype everything again, right? So if you have the quad reg saved somewhere up there, right, you just go get it. This is the annoying part. If you run this, you cannot go arrow up right now. You can't do, oh, sideways arrow worked, but you can't go up. You got to quit your screen and then go up and find that entry, right? So you can copy paste this anytime you want. Just go make changes to L1 and L2, copy paste, run it again, saves you a bunch of time, right? Anyways, let's graph this and find the vertex. The vertex is a max in this case. I'll give you the answer. That would be, so I want you to tell me, right? Second, trace, max, and this is 0.13, 2.56. Okay, that's how you find that. The y-intercept, do I need to use my calculator for that? It's in general form, right? This is your y-intercept. So that's 0, 2.56. Okay. Calculate the x-intercepts. You let y2 equal to 0, and then you go second, trace, intersect. And there are two, right? You can tell on your screen that there are two intercepts. So why don't I show you that one at least? Graph, second trace 5, enter, enter, enter. So that would be negative 2.280. And will it find the second one? This is where you jump, right? I jump to the red line and then I travel across that one. Makes it a little faster. Enter, enter, enter. That is 2.53. 2.530, and there you have it. Those are your intercepts. And this one is interesting. I'm wondering if you got this one. Okay, what's the y value when x is negative 30? So second trace 1, you got to go negative 30. Will it work? No. So what's wrong? Go 2. Doesn't like the negative, but we know that it's supposed to be negative, right? So we want to see more, right? So we have to go further to the left and possibly further down. So let's go ahead and do that window. X-min, I'm going to go negative 40. And my Y-min, I'm just going to go negative 100. Let's see if that's going to work. Second trace 1, negative 30. There you go. It's supposed to be negative 400, but it already worked. All right, because I could see enough of the x values. Technically, you'd have to change your y min to like negative 405 or something to see that point, but it gave it to me. So second trace 1, x is equal to negative 30, y is equal to negative 400.78. Note, change window, right? Change your window for that to work, and then you'll be fine. So there we go. Same as before, nothing changes. No word problem associated yet. Let's keep going. So let's go to 44. I'm going to give you a visual to help us out, but first I'm going to try not to use it. There we go. Boom. Okay. How many points do we need for a regression? 3. You need 3. Okay. So maybe this will bring back some good memories. Axis of symmetry. A parabola has a vertex of 2, 5. It has 2 x-intercepts, one of which is negative 5, 0. Do you remember, is there a way to get a third point, guys? Axis of symmetry, right? This is your vertex. You have 1 point. You can find the other one on the same height. So here we go. Use x is equal to x1 plus x2 divided by 2, right? To find third point. Oops, you can't see that, sorry. Use this one to find third point. Okay, the third point, what do we know about the y value? What will the y value be? It has to be the same one as the one you already have, right? Like there's the vertex and then you have a point on either side that are along the same height. So we know this is 0 already. We don't know what this is. And I'm going to call this x2. That's going to be our x2. This is going to be our x1. And this is going to be the x, which is the x value of the vertex. Okay, so to find a third point, here we go. Let me just make sure I want to have enough space here. I'm going to go 2 is equal to negative 5 plus x2, which is unknown to me, divided by 2. And make sure you always you keep the top together like that. And you have to do some algebra here, right? 2, and then you multiply this side by 2 as well to get rid of this, which leaves you with 4, and that's negative 5 plus x2. The negative 5, when it comes over adding, and so x2 is 9. This is important to us. This is what's going to go in here, which we're going to call 9. So now you have 3 points. Okay? So I want you to set it up like this. X, Y, it might be distance and height later on, whatever. Do this, please, always. It makes it so much easier. So it doesn't matter which order you put them in, but I tend to put, right, one of the points, then the vertex, and then the third point that I just found. Set up a little table. And you type this into L1. This goes into L2. Because we want to determine the equation of the parabola. L1, L2. And let's go ahead and calculate our quadratic equation. Do you know how to do that? Well, here it is one more time. I'm going to go stat, edit. I'm going to clear what I have in there. So hit clear, enter. Then I'm going to go -5, enter. 2, enter. 9, enter. 0, enter. 5, 0. Make sure you look. Take 5 seconds to check that I enter it correctly. You may quit this screen now. So there's two options. Let's say you haven't done quadratic regression in a while. I would go immediately to stat, calc, and then go through the process. But I know I just did this. So I'm going to go quit and just go copy last time I performed the regression, copy paste it, and just run it again. This is what I get. However, you're still fresh. I'm assuming you got this, but let's do this one more time. Let's go through the motions of actually typing it out, okay? So you would go stat, calc, quadratic regression, right? Then you would go second 1, comma, second 2, comma. What's that trick? Alpha trace. Want to put it in Y1 or Y2? It's up to you. I'm going to put it into Y1. And then you got to hit enter to run it. And there you have it. So I'm going to show my work here. I'm just going to go stat calc quad reg. And here it is. Negative 0.102 x squared plus 0.408 x plus 4.59. That is the equation that models this curve. And you're like, what about the graph there? What's up? What's that doing there, Mr. Jason? I don't get it. It's there to now do this one more time visually. What is it that we just did visually? Okay. Most of us are visual learners, so here we go. Let's find the vertex. It would be 2, 5, right? So this would be the coordinates of the vertex. That's what they gave us. And they also gave us one of the x-intercepts, which is -5, 0. -5, 0 is right here. Okay, it's -5, 0, like that. And so I need you to always think that there's the axis of symmetry, there's the middle, right? So let's put this one here. Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, right, at this point that the curve would go like this. Correct? We know that side. But what about the other side? Here's another way you can do this, guys. You have my full approval, except for it might take longer. You may not have a grid. But count. How many steps am I from the center? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, correct? You're 7 units away from the center to the left to get to this leg. Therefore, because it's symmetric, it's going to take 7 along the same height, right? We're on the x-axis, so that's the same height. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units, and there we have it, 7 units. And what are the coordinates of that point? You guessed it, it's 9, 0. This is the third point, Okay, so now you have everything you need to graph this the other way as well. So vertex helps you find the center. So you can use this axis of symmetry formula to do this on paper, mathematically, algebraically, or you could do it visually if you are able to do so. What's the domain and range of this one? Domain, easy, easy, right? No word problem. It's just this. What's the range? It's pointing down, right? So only y values that are less than or equal to the coordinate of my vertex, right? Which has a high point of 5, right? 5. I'm just going to make a note that this is the y value of vertex. That's what it says there. Y value of vertex gave me that. Okay. Determine the x value, what the value of x is when y is equal to negative 5475. How would you do that? Do you remember how to do that? Blast from the past? You know what the y value is, so you go y2 is equal to negative 5475, right? You're going to graph that line, and then you're going to go second, trace, intersect. And here's where, so always try to show me keystrokes. You know what? If yours look a little different than mine because you forgot how exactly you did it, or I did it, that's fine. Just show me what you pressed to get there. So here you have a problem, right? I'm going to go to y equals. Did we graph this already? Sorry, guys. I think I'm jumping a little bit. Slow down. Slow down. What's the rush, right? So let's go to graph. This is still from before, right? Our previous graph or our previous window. So what would you press right now if you had the choice? You could do zoom standard. You could do zoom fit. I will do zoom stat. Sorry. Zoom. Let's try this again. Zoom stat. I'll press that one because I'm doing regressions. That one is going to be the best one for you. We're good? Jessica, you're good because you're good? Yeah? Okay. Don't put me on the spot. Okay, window. We have a problem because we need y values of negative 54. So I'm going to go y min and I'm going to enter negative 60 or something like that, right? Can I go negative 200? Sure. Can I go negative 1,000? Sure. It's just going to look different, right? Oh, that's still not good. What did I do there? Oh yeah, I see. My y values here. What needs to change so that I can see it? This is a wide. Remember when a is between 0 and 1, it's going to be a very wide curve. It's going to open slowly, right? So look at my window. I went y min negative 60. I'm going to also go expand my x min and my x max. I'm going to just go further to either side. So let's go negative 100 and positive 100. Let's see what that does for us. Why did you pick 100? Just randomly, honestly. Ooh, that's too much, right? Overkill? Overkill, Mr. Dirksen, because I probably could just do 50-50. Does it matter? Not really. Okay. Not really. I'm going to leave it like that, to be honest. But let's go and make y2 equal to negative 54.75. and then hit graph. Boom, there it is. We see where it's crossing, we're good to go. So Mr. Dixon, there's more than one option. What do I do? Yeah, there are two options, right? It could be either this or that, okay? So second trace 5, enter, 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 and get negative 22.20, or let's try the other side, second trace 5. I'm going to jump lines and just cut across the field, enter, enter, enter. That's 26.20. Okay, it crosses it twice at that height. No word problem, so negatives go, everything goes here, right? Okay, so what have I done so far? You ready? I've shown you how to do a regression when I just give you the points. Just enter and go to town. Yes, I've also shown you how to find the regression when you're only given 2 points. And by the way, one of them will be the vertex, right? Or you'll have 2 points that are across each other, and then I have to give you partial information to give you the y value of the vertex. You just have to go find the x value of the vertex using this. This is what I don't want you to do, okay? I want you to try this one before we go, and I want to go over it yet as well. I don't want you to guess, guys, careful. I don't want you to be like, oh, this is about, let's see, this is negative 11 something. Don't guess. You use the information you have and use this one, right? Use this to help you find that third point. Do you know, watch this, do you know the point across here? You know part of it. You know that this is going to be at a height of 3, but you don't know what this is. You don't know the x2 value of that coordinate. You do know it's 3. How come 3, Mr. Dirksen? Because, right, when points are across each other, they have the same height, and then we can use this to find our third point. So I kind of want you to do what we just did above there. Come up with your third point, set them up in a table, come up with the quadratic equation, and then answer everything else around it. And if you're done, just keep going on the back side of this. There's a lot more like this. I need you to grasp this concept of regression before I do word problems. Okay, guys? Let's do this, and then no more talking here. So I'm just going to tell you this. Homework goes from 45 to 47. Just one caveat here. 47, guys, is just domain and range, okay? So watch this. We did some of this, like come up with the equation and then the domain and range as well. So make sure you try the domain and range. There's a word problem attached to this scenario here. So make sure you try that, okay? That's it for today. Just keep working, and I'll post the key.